Hello and welcome to Arsenal Above All. We've done it. We've managed to escape another international break. I've got Melvyn and James here with me. They've managed to pass the fitness test, last minute fitness test. They are fit and rearing and ready to go. You haven't got to sue any countries or any managers for misusing them and getting them on podcasts when they're not fit. But they're here tonight. How you doing, Melvyn?
Yeah, good. Thanks. Good. Looking forward to this. Yeah.
Good stuff. Great seeing you, mate. And also got James Johnson. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm very well. Yeah, like you said, Tuchel didn't pick me, so I'm good. I'm good to go. So I'm all fit.
Great stuff. Thanks for coming on, gents. So we'll have a review, obviously, of the North London derby, some transfer gossip, which me and James obviously will like to tuck into a little bit of that, and talk about obviously the big talking point, the injuries, and just the way things seem to be falling against us in that regards. But haven't had Melvyn on for a while. He's been a busy man. So let's just get Melvyn. What's your thoughts on the season so far? Just on the back of the Sunderland result, obviously, because we had a lot of fallout as usual when it's an Arsenal result or drop points. Let's say, what was your thoughts on that, and then just how things have gone for you? Do you think you're happy with how things have gone? Do you think things could have been slightly better? Could Arteta have maybe done things slightly different, especially in that second half, or do you just think after the start that we had? With the away games that we had, we're in a really strong position.
We're in a fantastic position. I mean, you take this all day long, but if you're talking to the season, I'm very, very happy with. If you're talking about the Sunderland game, what made it worse for me, I'd preferred it had stayed at 1-1 and we got the point. It'd have been a good point. Being 2-1 up and they were on the ropes, we had them on the ropes and we didn't come away with 3 points. That was a 3-1 stroke 4-1 game, in my opinion. Yeah. They just couldn't believe. They had all the adrenaline, they had all the momentum. They were 1-0 up. They thought, oh, this is the life. Cigars were out in their team with the supporters. And all of a sudden, second half, we hit them with everything. They couldn't get the ball. I mean, they didn't get any marks on their boots at all. And we're 2-1 up and looking like, but I think they would have taken 2-1. I really do. It was that we were so dominant. So then we had the situation where we fell back. We said, well, come and attack us then. And once you do that, they knew we were no threat going forward, so they could afford to attack us. So that was the thing. Is it was in our hand, and we just threw it away. So I was very disappointed. But it is a good point away at Sunderland. Never thought I'd say that at the beginning of the season. Very good point. But we should have had more. And I blame. Well, I don't know who said we should change the tactics to go back. If it's the manager, you've got to take the blame. If it's the captain or whoever it was, it's poor game management. I thought we got over that, but obviously we haven't. But as I say, delighted to where we are now. And this is we'll talk about Sunday in a minute, but this is the chance for us to say, right, all right then, we've done that. Let's start again. Let's start that run going again. That's where I am.
Yeah, he's talked about reset and getting it going again. And a lot of the players left messages on Instagram and bits and pieces. James, Timber and Saka putting basically saying that they weren't happy. They knew that they dropped some big points there. What was your thoughts on that as well, mate? In terms of just the fallout. Obviously, Sunderland. It's just the 2 goals that we could see, weren't they? There were just 2 big long balls in there, and we just didn't get down to doing what we've been doing all season. Getting the second balls and getting them out. What's your take on all of that?
Yeah, I echo the sentiments of both of you. I nearly got a neck ache there from all the nodding that I was doing, agreeing with you. But I felt I was turning into the Churchill dog. But no. For me, I'm exactly the same, and I can see as always he's in the chat. Big up, Neil. He's always here, good man. And I agree with what he said. He said that it hurts the most because you knew the next day one of City or Liverpool were going to drop points, so you got frustrated because you knew one of them would shorten that gap. So that's what really, for me, the biggest come away for that was not only was I disappointed with how the game went and what we did. I was disappointed because you knew the next day one of the rivals or the contenders for what we're trying to do was going to drop points. But yeah, I think we've got to just completely block all that out, lick our wounds and go again, because it's not going to be an easy game at the weekend. Like I said, with the Purely lads, I was like, look, they can be above us. We can be above them. We can be 10, 20, 30 points clear of them. It's a derby. None of that matters. It's just one of them where on that day, who wants it and who needs it, because those games can be absolutely mental. You don't know what you're going to get. So, we just got to wait and see.
It's true. I mean, we'll touch on that, but even how bad they've been for the last couple of years, even though we haven't lost to them in the last couple of years, I think none of those wins have been easy. Even the one when we were 3-0 up, weren't we, at theirs, and it ended up being 3-2 because David Raya tried to be a bit too clever. But all the wins, I think there was a 2-1 last season, wasn't it, when Trossard absolutely sent Porro to the shops to get an half and half scarf, didn't he? And I think all the games that we've beaten them, even though we haven't lost to them, they've not been, 4-0s or they've been pretty narrow. So again, it's we know it's their cup final, and we know what we've got coming. But before that, let's talk on the injuries, Melvyn. Again, another international break. Again, another big injury blow to Gabriel this time. Calafiori wasn't 100%, and Italy, to their credit, they basically sent him back home and sent him back to us to observe and try and get back fit. And I correct me if I'm wrong, I think he's all right now. I think they kind of said he's okay. There isn't anything significant there. But what's your thoughts, Melvyn, on the Gabriel situation? If you go on socials and what have you, you've got people saying he's a bit of an idiot to put himself in that position. If he was warming up and training, alone, apparently he wasn't, doing any of the heavy stuff, let's say. And then he went ahead and played, but he's played for Brazil. There's a World Cup, and there's competition for places. He didn't get selected for the last World Cup because he missed the squad because of the birth of his child. People are saying Arsenal should have pulled him out. He should have been a bit stronger. What's your thoughts on it? Is it just bad luck, or is it a combination of the club maybe not being as forceful in terms of getting players out of there, or is it down to the player? Should he have been a bit more,
I think if you did get a pie chart out, you could make angles with everyone. Everything you've said is correct, and something else. If he got injured, for example, training by himself, you would have thought professional footballer would know their own body. When I used to play back in the day, as they say, no, we did have boots. You did know if you were carrying something, you knew just to take it a bit easy, especially warming up. In the game, the adrenaline kicks in, it's different. But warming up, you're just a little bit light on your feet sometimes. It's luck. It must be, for some reason, we are guaranteed to get someone injured. And not only that, when we get someone injured, if they should be out for 3 weeks, they're out for 5. If they're saying it's between 2 and 5 weeks, it's going to be 5 weeks. That you can nail that on, and it's all these different things. Should we be cuter? I mean, cheating to the extent of saying he's injured. Then the player himself has got to say, I really want to play for my country. So that's difficult now. It is difficult to do that. It's a number of things, and it just seems we seem to tick every box of what is not correct in keeping our players fit, and it's so frustrating. Frustrating. Can I just say one thing? Sorry, to go back to the Sunderland game, which I think about two-tier Arsenal mentions the way we're treated. The commentators, just remember that the commentators were laughing because I don't know if you heard the commentary, because I sometimes turn it down. I can't stand it, but they was laughing because the billboards, the advertising boards, were moved forward for the game to stop us taking long throws. Now, they were laughing. They thought it's very clever. I would call that cheating. But can you imagine if Arsenal did that?
Yeah.
It would be, oh, my God. It would be, not that we ever would. And if we would, it'd be disgraceful. I'd be disgusted at the club. But it was like they were joking. Yeah, all right.
Melvyn, if you remember, before we played Atletico Madrid, we didn't switch the hot water on when they trained. And but look at all the flack we got just because we didn't give them hot water. So yeah, you're spot on. If we move the advertising boards, look what Arsenal. This is disgusting. Dark arts. Yeah, you're spot on, mate. Yeah, you're spot on.
Yeah, 100%. And the funny thing was, Melvyn, is that we're not really that good at long throws. Sunderland are better. Exactly. Sunderland are better at long throws than us. So they sort of cut themselves off at the knees, just to stop us from doing it. It's like how stupid could you be? It's like a team that loves to play the ball on the ground, and they're playing against a team that likes to play long ball. It's like, okay, we'll let the grass grow a bit, so it will mess up our game, but they'll be all right to play. It was just a ridiculous. Ridiculous decision, and everyone thought, it was really smart gamesmanship and dark arts and stuff. But like you said, it was we know the shoe was on the other foot. There, we'll get blasted for it. But ridiculous stuff. What's your thoughts on the whole Gabriel situation, James? Because when you look at it, last season, I think it was last season when in the running, right, when there was an international break and we pulled out. I think Saka pulled out. I think. Havertz pulled out, Odegaard pulled out. I can't remember who the other player was, but we pulled out about 4 or 5 players because we weren't sure. I think Rice as well. I think, and then there was the whole hoo-ha in the media about players, they don't want to play for England and stuff like that, and they can't take their place for granted. So we were clever, we were smart in that sense, and then we got a lot of stick for it, by the media. And obviously this time around, we haven't seemed to have done that. But what's your thoughts on just the whole Gabriel thing? Because especially this season where it seems like Arteta he's been listening to the fitness people in terms of letting the players tell them about what their body is like. We kind of didn't see it work with Saliba at Anfield. When if he turned his ankle and he shouldn't have played because he cost us an extra sub, let's say, because we had to put Mosquera on. But what's your thoughts on that? Do you think, like Melvyn said, it's just one of those things that happens, it swings and roundabouts, or do you think we should have been a bit cuter, especially with what we've got to come in December?
Yeah, so for me, it's really, really tough because one, arguably, for me, has he been our best player? I'd say he's one of them. For me, at the moment, I'm still a big on Jurriën Timber's been my man of the season. But I understand if people thought Gabriel is, I've got no problem with that. If you thought Rice was, if you thought Raya was, whoever, I can go with all of it. The thing for me here, which is really difficult, is one, like you said, it's a World Cup year, and he missed the last squad because he didn't partake. So he's probably thinking in his head, I'm going to miss another World Cup. He's old enough to still go to another one. But he's basically in his prime. This could be a prime World Cup in America, Mexico, and Canada. So, all the eyes in the world are on there. He had a game at the Emirates, which is his home sort of stadium. It's his home ground, basically, where he plays for his club, obviously. And the next game after that was at Lille, weren't it? Where he used to play as well. Yeah. So it's like he's got 2 sets of his fans for both the clubs that he's played for, plus all the Brazilians.
Yeah.
So it's like 2 homecomings. So he wanted to, I know for a fact, he wanted to play both games. 100%. And the thing is, I got told from somebody that's quite clued up that he was supposed to play 45 minutes in the one at the Emirates against Senegal. Then he was meant to be hooked. That got changed and it was to be 65 minutes. But stroke of our luck, weren't it? 63rd minute injury.
Yeah.
So, typical. But at the same point, I can't really blame. Well, I can, but I can't really blame Gabriel for not wanting to come. I can't blame any footballer that ever doesn't want to come off. We had this big conversation the other day, Mike, about a player that did come off and how that's become the whole story about England qualifying. Is how upset Jude Bellingham is, instead of how great it is that we didn't concede a goal, that we scored 16 or 17 goals in this group. But the story's now about Jude Bellingham. We won't go there because that's a different podcast for a different day. But Arteta, could he have been cuter and gone no because of the load management and you knew that you were in this phase? Probably yes. And could Ancelotti have been better? Yes. And like Stephen's put in the chat, apparently we're getting 6 million compensation. Well, that's all well and good, but this is the thing. at the moment, yeah, get Ornstein out, put the good news out. That's what the club does. Whenever people are panicking, get Ornstein, put something on the Twitter quick before we all go mad, you know. But yeah, we don't know if this guy's going to have to go under the knife yet.
Yeah.
You know, I wish Jack was here because he'd be able to tell it much more better than I can.
Yeah.
But if he needs surgery, that 2 to 6 weeks, well, that's becoming 16 to 24 week territory, not. And that's nearly the end of the season. What, he's going to come back in April?
Yeah, pretty much. Probably kicked. Last time we see him in an Arsenal shirt this year, I think. If knowing I luck, it will be.
And don't get me wrong, I'd love to win the title when all of them bowed to him like we did when Robert Perez got injured all them seasons ago. I'd love nothing more. But he's such a pivotal player that, it's, you know, yes, we've got the depth there now, and it'd be interesting to see how we use and what we do with it. But yeah, I'm slightly aggrieved, but at the same time, I get it. I do get it. But I think, Mike, as football fans here as well as Arsenal fans, the way that everyone rallied together to stop this with the Super League, I think fans have got to go to FIFA, to UEFA, to CONCACAF, all these different confederations that are putting on these games. Enough. Yeah. Why are we playing friendlies in November?
Yes,
because it's about that.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Nobody really cared. You know, no one really cared to watch any of these games this week. There was no one going, "Oh my God, England, Albania, can't wait." Oh yes, rubbing my hands together for England, Albania.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
It's no nonsense.
It is. Yeah, it's absolutely pointless. And I think fans have got to. I don't know how. I don't know how we go about it, what channel we go about it, but we just got to go. Nah, this is enough now.
Yeah, 100%. You say, Melv?
No, I mean, it's all about the money, but haven't they got enough money? If they don't do these internationals, will the game die? The answer is obviously no. So it's just greed, and that's not right.
Yeah, it's a joke, really. And the thing is, I think it's going to get worse because they're going to increase the World Cup, aren't they? I think they're going to increase it to 64 teams, the next one. And knowing and having said that, they're probably going to end up increasing the Euros at some point as well.
Would it be possible, boys, for them to increase the World Cup to more clubs, more countries playing than there are countries in the world?
Probably. Yeah.
They'll have Scotland A, Scotland B. Like that they're doing next, wouldn't they?
It is insane. It is absolutely crazy at the moment, and they're thinking of increasing it. So again, what does that do? That generates more money, more chances for matches to be screened, more sponsors be able to be plastered all over, advertising boards and what have you. It's a joke. It's an absolute joke. Money rules everything. But let's jump into some of the comments. We've got some top guys in there. Brenny Hensey, who's a great supporter of all the shows that we appear on. So good to see you, mate. Neil, of course, Arsenal's most dangerous fan alive. The Arsenal Jason Bourne. He's hiding somewhere. He's not giving off his location, Neil. So we don't know where he is. But just watch your backs, people. We've got Mac here. He's saying there, if there was a time to drop points, it was then. Time to reflect and a break to reset. Yeah, and Steve agrees. He says it's better our defence record went before the North London derby. Yeah, because we probably wouldn't have had the end of it if they scored. And yeah, he was right. Yeah, Neil mentioned that in the last show. And Neil was saying it's one of those games that's difficult to predict, even prepare for. Don't get sent off. Don't give the ref an excuse, and don't get embroiled in mind games. Yeah, we'll talk about that in a minute about the ref. Our old friend, Mr. Oliver, who's all of a sudden taking our games again. Now that Man City have reappeared in our rearview mirror. Interesting that. Surely that can't be a coincidence. Steve said, yes, this is the one about the money. I mean, you know, like I said, 6 million is, you know, what's that? That's nothing in it. And you're just saying, put the ball in the net 8 times. That'd be lovely. Gabriel's a massive miss, not just because of obviously what he does defensively, but obviously just the way he organises everything going forward when it comes to set pieces. And yeah, he's Steve's talking about what I mentioned earlier about Saka missing games, and then when Saka missed games, everybody went mental, didn't they, about it? And saying, "Oh, who does he think he is? How dare he?" and stuff like that. How you doing, Brian? Evening, gents. Fashionably late to the party. Generally think that authorities have a lot to blame. Brazil have an 18-game qualification and friendlies across the world. Yeah, they do. It's all over the place, aren't they? Absolutely all over the shop. And Steve said, I did a blog last year about how corrupt referee is and how organisations should be able to bid to run the game. Saying, it's just money. As long as they get the money, then that's all they're worried about. Thanks for the comments. Let's quickly just touch on some of the transfer rumours. Obviously, there's stuff going on, James, about our one of our favourite players, Antoine Semenyo, possibly, with a 65 million, release clause, and they've put the usual suspects, to Chelsea, obviously, because Chelsea want to buy everyone, and look like they're interested in everybody. Liverpool, I think City. I don't think City's going to go City, and ourselves. But also on the outgoings, there's people talking about, or there's rumours talking about Ethan possibly going on loan. What's your thoughts about that? I mean, the way our injuries are going, he's going to get a good run of games anyway. So I don't really understand why we wouldn't even consider letting anybody go. I'll come to you in a bit, Melvyn, about that. But what's your thoughts on that, James? And would you be happy with the club, with us investing on that side, if it's possible in January? Because we spoke, obviously, in chat group saying the left wing was the one that we needed to get fixed. It so happens that Trossard is doing bits at the moment. Obviously, Martinelli was as well before he was injured. But what's your thoughts on the in and outs on that, in that regards?
Yeah, so the answer to that question for me is how long is Odegaard back? Until he's back, but Mike. And the second bit to that is what Odegaard are we getting when he comes back? Because if he's not at the requisite level that he needs to be for us, which I know that he can be, I think a lot of the time his problem is he's not confident in his own abilities. For whatever reason, I don't know why, but there's times for me where he's trying to thread the ball through an eye of a needle when he can shoot, and I know he can score those goals. We've all seen him do it. But yet he'll choose to go for a pass that you're sort of thinking, well, that weren't really on. I don't know why you're looking at that. If he comes back and then sadly he continues as the route that he's gone down, where his form and his body isn't coping, then I would not loan out Nwaneri at all, because even though Eze's playing in there at the moment, he's still getting used to that role. This guy is a natural fit for that 8 position, be it on the left or the right hand side for me. I think that's where this guy is born to be. I agreed at points where he was playing on the wing and he was doing well in Saka's absence last season, but that's not natural for him. For me, he is a central sort of midfield or a cam, attacking midfield player. So I wouldn't be getting rid of him on loan at all. There's plenty of games to play, plenty of minutes to get. So, I would have as beefed as a squad as I can have. And then in terms of Semenyo, why would you not want a player like that in there? You got people at Liverpool going, oh, what? Well, they got Ekatike, they got this one, they got that one. Doesn't matter. You can never have enough good players. I mean, for us to have Eze, Semenyo, Trossard, and Martinelli all going for that left wing slot from January, I'm not complaining. I'm not complaining. But for a fact that one of them will be moved on out of Martinelli and Trossard in the summer. If not, I don't think they'd go in the Jan, especially if we're still looking at getting honours in. So I think, one of them will go in the summer. And if it's a bit like Granit Xhaka's last season for us, where it was his best season, but you knew he was going to go, if Trossard does that and we get honours on top, I'm not going to whinge. I'll be like, do you know what, Trossard, go. Thank you for this season. Thanks for all you've done. But ride off into the sunset with a title or whatever behind your back, because Semenyo's the future. And that guy, for me, like we've said, we want a game changer on that left wing. Now, Eze's probably could be that player, Mike. We just haven't seen enough of it. But like I said, I'm not moaning about having as many good players as we can possibly get.
Yeah, totally agree. What's your thoughts on that, Melvyn?
I'll definitely get him in. There's not too many players in our league that can join us and go, you know what, that's an improvement. He will be an improvement, most certainly. I thought that Trossard had his best game for us all season against Sunderland. He was superb and didn't get the plaudits because we gave the goal away in the last couple of minutes. Had we won that game, you'd have seen his name up in lights.
Mm.
But he's not consistent enough. Martinelli, who I love, is not consistent enough, and also he's a little bit injury prone. Let's face it. So to get Semenya in would be absolutely fantastic. And Eze doesn't have to play wide; he can play inside as well. So it'd give us a great balance. So I'd go 65 million. Well, that's peanuts, isn't it? Now, I mean, that's a second division player now, isn't it? 65 million.
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah. It could be interesting. Let's go into some of the comments. Steve says, "Yeah, play the release clause and we bring home the title." That's for Semenyo. Got Charles. Charles, thanks for your comment, mate. I think he's coming for me a little bit here. He's from the last Sunderland game. The lineup we barely have one player out or a change. So what is the hoo-ha about? Players will go in and out, and why do fans don't trust? I think he's probably meant don't trust Arteta or something. I mean,
The players coming in, I think he probably might mean. I don't know.
Right, yeah. The thing. I mean, yeah. Pretty, thanks for the comment. But the thing is, I think I had this conversation with a couple of other people, and again, it's an opinion. When it's an injury, people talk about our depth, and our depth is so great. We've got such a great squad depth, but the thing for me is yes, people say injuries will happen and what have you, but I think the key thing for me is trying to prevent those injuries as much as you can, because when you take a player out to rotate and you bring another player in, that's great, because you know what, that player who you've rotated out will be there for next week. If that player is suddenly injured, they won't be there. They might not be there next week or the week after or the week after that. So that layer of depth is gone. But if that player is only rotated out for another player, just for fitness purposes or just to give him a breather, that depth is still there. You've just controlled it more rather than someone getting injured. So I totally understand that, you know, people are going to get injured and stuff. But I think where it's preventable and where it comes down to load management, I just think we need to be a little bit smarter, and I get it. I get it. You know, injury is part of the game, but I think some of the things that's happened to us in the past, this season especially as well, have been a bit could have been preventable, but because a lot of them are seem to be muscular. I think especially with Gyökeres. I think that was just because of the number of games he's had to play, because he's probably been the only forward. So then maybe you could have changed that as well. So totally get it though. I totally get people obviously got different opinions, but I just think if you know that depth is getting more shallower because a player is going to be out for maybe a month or two, rather than being out just for one game because you've rotated him out because you just want to give him a rest. So that's just where I'm coming from with that. Yes, it looks like it might be, luckily, touch wood, that there might be just one or two changes from the Sunderland game. But you know, obviously, as we know, it could have been so much worse, couldn't it? Steve saying Ethan to Bournemouth on loan as a sweetener, signing their player. Yeah, I mean, there was rumours about him going maybe Palace or something like that as well when we got Eze, so that could have happened. Brian saying get Semenyo in pure statement of intent to have embedded ready in for next season, and plus he's not at the AFCON either, is he? Because Ghana didn't qualify for that, and that's happening in the new year. And I know Liverpool are going to be missing Salah for that, but he's not really doing that much anyway. Steve say, jokes aside, Ethan to stay because of our injuries. Yeah, it's going to happen. Mac is saying, loading that Ethan must be fake news if it's true. He's scandalous. Semenyo has to be brought if he's prepared to leave. Yeah, he's a big gooner, so might have to play on that. And Neil say they say less is more. Forget that and get Semi. Roger and Rogers. I think he means Rogers, Mbappe, and Glenn Heddle. That's a quadruple of names, isn't it? He's got quadruple in the brain, this geezer. He's got to say full names all the time. Brian said, I think we must take into consideration our young players around the squad. They're getting game time of sorts. So I see no benefit sending them out alone. Totally agree with James about Trossard. Yeah, and they're talking about Miles as well, aren't they? Or clubs are after him. It just love unsettling our players, it seems. Brian says, you're right, Mike. We have to look at the time frame players return. Yeah, totally agree with that. Thanks, Brian. So let's go on to what we're here for. North London derby, noisy neighbours, and they'll be coming in with all their noise and nonsense what they usually like to bring along their away fans. what's your thoughts ahead of it, Melvyn? We've got James's X1, his team that he's put together, but basically he's kind of he's giving you he's giving that at the moment because he's probably going to be one maybe or two players that aren't going to feature for obvious reasons. But what's your thoughts on that game, Melvyn? Is it just a case of not letting a certain official influence the game, making him irrelevant first and foremost?
Yeah, we've got to. We just got to do it. Just do the job. I mean, forget about, it's been seems like 3 months since we played Sunderland, so hopefully it's out of their heads as well. Just go for it. Obviously, I would have, just talking about one position, obviously Gabriel not playing, I'd have Hincapi there rather than Mosquera, because left-footed, I think he likes to play a left-footed, right and left-footed centre-half, our manager, Mikel. But do you remember years ago when we had Socrates and Mustafi at centre-half, and if Mustafi got injured, we were like, oh, it's the end of the world. Not. Anyway, but we had coming in to save the day, we had someone like Chambers or Holding. Now we've got Hincapi or Mosquera to come in. What a difference. Not only the first two centre-halves are brilliant, phenomenal, but either, I mean, he's got injured. Everyone's going, oh, it's bad news. It's not so much for our defensive qualities, which he's brilliant at, it's his attacking qualities. Defensively, I should think Hincapi's probably near there anyway. It's not as there's going to be a big gap, but let's hope we can. They are not a good team. All right, they've got a good away record, very good away record. But I watched them against United. I know they're at home and they've got a poor record. They were shocking. How they nearly got 3 points out of that game. They shouldn't have got one. They should have got minus points for that game. They were so poor. It was ridiculous. Seriously, I think the FBI would have been called in if they got 3 points. It was that bad. It really was. It was like, what's going on? And I noticed the goal they gave away in the last minute from a corner was, come on, that Sunday League pub after a few beers. That was really a poor thing. I think that if we don't need Gabriel, hopefully, to score goals from corners, I think our goalkeeper can score goals against that defence from corners, really. If we play our game, forget about anything else, play our game, we should be too good. As long as we don't go too gung-ho, like we have done against Spurs at home sometimes, the crowd get going and the players get in their heads but they haven't got people like Son, who was the bane. Him and obviously Kane were the bane of us. They used to break and that was it. They haven't got that. And I think we are much better. We should be much better. And failing any mistakes, we will win it.
Yeah, fingers crossed for that. Obviously, they've got a kind of a new look kind of attack with obviously what's his name, Moani, haven't they? I think he's got back in his fit. Obviously, Tell is up there. Obviously, Simons and Brendan Johnson. He's had a good week midweek. Obviously, Wales pumping North Macedonia. What was it?
Simons hasn't come up to Trump's, Michael.
No, it hasn't. I think he tends to bottle it when he doesn't fancy it. He kind of hides that Brendan Johnson. I think he's one of those type of players. But we'll come to you, James. Obviously, we'll bring up your team in a sec. But what, again, is it a case of you said it a few times when we go to Old Trafford and stuff? Play the team, not the badge or the occasion. And as I've said before, we always seem to. It's not been comfortable. Whenever we've kind of beaten them, as far as I can remember, it's always been, we give them a chance. And we I think last season was 2-1 at home. What was the away one? Was that the 3-2 one when we were? No, that was the year before. No, the year before was 1-0 when Gabriel scored with the header. So again, that was 1-0. We beat them 2-1 at home. I think when they went ahead again, they took the lead. The season before that, I think that was the 3-2 when we went 3-2 up. I think
it was, yeah.
I can't remember what we did at home, but it was tight again. But what's
you your beat or draw? I know that.
Yeah. what's your thoughts on it, James?
Yeah. Again, echoing what Melvyn said down there. Basically, that at home they're dreadful, but Thomas Frank, and we've seen it when he was at Brentford. He's very wily, especially in away against big sides. He can set his team up to frustrate, to annoy, and then he just wants to hit you on the counter and score one, and then shape it up. and shield it down. You know, when we played Sunderland, they were like, you can have as much as the wide area of the pitch as you want, because we're just going to smash you through the middle. Now, I don't necessarily think that he's going to allow us to have the wide area, because I don't rate either of their fullbacks. I know a lot of people go on about Spence. I'm not there yet. And then two defenders who they class, you know, some of them say they're the best partnership in the league compared to the partnership that we have. I don't think that's true either. When you've got defenders that more want to score goals than they do want to keep clean sheets, I think you've got a problem. And then when you've got arguably as well the worst Italian goalkeeper, well, one of them that I've ever, you know, next to Taibbi, he's right up there as one of the worst Italian goalkeepers I've ever seen as well. You know, it was a bit like us. We bought the only German goalkeeper in the world in Leno that's not vocal. I've never seen a German goalkeeper that's so quiet in all my life. But there we go. But that's by the by. But yeah, I think that it's there. The blueprint is there. But the thing for me, and it's going to sound quite rich coming from me, Michael, but the people that are saying about the ref and saying about this, and they're chucking the towel in already. Yeah. Don't watch it on Sunday then. Don't bother, because I don't want that mentality.
Yeah.
If we had everyone out and they were like, oh, it's Dowman and the rest of the 15-year-olds playing, I'm backing it still, because it's us against them in the derby. I'm backing it. Yeah. I'm like, you can't go into it like this. You know, you gotta be a bit more, you know, confident. I'm not necessarily nervous. I've never been nervous or worried about that club. Sorry, I'm saving my pounds tonight, Mike. I don't want to get fined. I've not really been worried about that club in all my life. Like you said at the start of the show, they're a noisy neighbour. They're not a rival. They're a noisy neighbour.
Yeah.
Our rivals, like you said at the start of the show, are Man City. I think even Liverpool are slightly off. Tell a lie. Neil said the other day as well, Chelsea, they could throw a spanner in. But I got no worries about this. Like we said, they know what the job is. Go out there, get it done, and we'll worry about the tough games that we've got the week after.
Yeah.
Because they're going to be harder slogs than this. How we played this year against Palace at home, I thought was magnificent. We're going to be in for a similar sort of game at the weekend. Just they're not for me. They're not as flashy as Palace are with it. He's got a system. I think his system's better than Glasner's per se. Not really. No, okay, they're the best away team in the league, but they'll soon be exposed by about 5 o'clock on Sunday. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that.
Fingers crossed, mate.
Yeah, we'll be fine.
So look at your team, James.
Well, a famous man once said to me, James, you couldn't predict what happens to bread when it goes in a toaster. And I think he's correct, because I've messed up that front line.
Well,
he's playing 4D chess and saying he's injured and he turns up. You know, if it's like the first Eubank Ben when his dad walks out and Goykeres is there all of a sudden, we'll blow the roof off the joint. But I don't think he's going to be.
He did it a couple of years ago. What was it, last season when Saka and Timber did it against Liverpool?
Yeah, that's true.
And then they were in the hotel. They were spotted in the hotel, weren't they? And then obviously Saka scored that amazing goal. But I mean, it's a good team, obviously. But you just
especially with Goykeres instead of Moreno up top, it's much better. Nothing against Moreno if he's watching, by the way.
Yeah, but you're probably it's probably going to be him up front, isn't it? I mean, Martinelli was spotted on the training pitch, wasn't he? In the background of one of the photos. So obviously he looked like he was doing stuff away from the main squad. And I think Jesus was training as well. There was a couple of photos as well of him training and getting involved, getting stuck in. So, you know what Arteta's like. He's not going to reveal anything in a press conference, is he? He's like a politician, isn't he? People just wasting their time when they're asking questions about that. But yeah, it's going to be interesting, very interesting. I think as like Max said, we need people in there like Hincapié who's going to want to fight and win his duels, and he says
the only reason I didn't pick him is just purely based on it. It's the travel,
because they played today. I think they played today, didn't they?
Yeah,
they played this morning. Yeah, so
I'm like, he's going to be knackered. I mean, don't get me wrong, he probably will. He'll want to play because it's his first derby.
Yeah.
So I can't blame him if he wants to throw him in. But yeah, you could easily. This is the thing. You could do so much here. I've gone for that, but I've seen people going, "Nah, do you know what? The other day, Jurriën Timber's been playing centre half for Netherlands, and Virgil van Dijk's gone. This guy is good enough at right back, and he's good enough next to me at set. He said he's one of the best in the world at what he does. So if he wanted to put Timber next to Saliba in centre back and bring Ben White back just to rattle a few of these lot, I wouldn't mind. I'm not adverse to anything. If he wants to move Calafiori next to Saliba and bring Miles Lewis-Skelly in because he wants another Hale End kid who knows what this means, I ain't against that either. There's so many different ways that we can go about it. But that, to me, I thought, no, you know what, Mosquera, he's backed you. You've done really well this season when you've been asked to come in. I think he didn't go with a team for an international break, as far as I'm aware, Mosquera. I don't know if he got picked for Spain's youth sides. He certainly didn't get picked for their first team. So he's had the time, So
yeah,
we'll see. I'm not fussed about who he picks really, because I know, like I said, gonna get the job done. So
we should have too much for him. We should have too much. Let's just dip into the comments before we go. Had a couple have come in. Charles come back. Yeah, James, big fan. Watch you on Sophie's channel. No matter who's injured, context is a derby. If Arteta cannot big up his squad for a derby at home, then what's the point? So fans can give him that. Okay, so yeah, interesting. He should, like you said, we should have too much for him. We should be up for it. If we're smarting from the Sunderland result, then obviously this has been sitting with them for a couple of weeks, hasn't it? So I'm sure they're going to want to go out. And the fact that Liverpool play Forest and Newcastle play City the day before, we could be in a position where we could hopefully extend our lead at the top as well. So, Hente, the last time the Arsenal lost to Spurs in the league at home was back in 2010. So yeah, that's great stuff. Neil says we will prevail. Brian has said, I think the midfield three is Zubimendi, Rice, and Eze have to take control and authority. It's my birthday on Sunday, so all I want is 3 points by hook or by crook. Yep, nice one. Nice birthday present that would be. Frank sets his team against us to hit us on the counter, but we are better now. It's basically what they did in the pre-season game when they beat us 1-0. Saw the highlights of that, and that's pretty much what they did in the pre-season game. They literally played it like it was.
We were shocking that day. We were shocking.
Yeah. And Steve's agreed with James. I'm always confident in this game against them. I don't think Oliver will want his name in the headlines, but we will do our job and get the game done. Yeah, absolutely. Charles has said, are we on the Richarlison equaliser and take off his shirt to finally get the win, boat, gents? Well, it'd be funny if that happened and it got disallowed again, Charles, and he got another yellow card because that's all he seems to do when he does stuff like that, and so that'd be funny. Brian saying, don't mind if Jesus comes on, scores a winner, and he's out for the rest of the season. Yeah, we'll take that. And Neil saying, put Calafiori at number 9. Yep. But yeah, so good stuff. It's going to be interesting. Any predictions for the result? Let's have a score prediction for you, Melvyn.
2-0 to us.
2-0, nice one, clean sheet. James?
Yeah, I'm sticking with what I said on purely 2-1 Saliba, because he's the only outfield of all the main ones that hasn't scored yet, has he? So yeah. I know, like you said, Melvyn, watch him on them corners. Get Saliba on him this time. It's his time to go.
Neil's going 8-0. Absolute loon. Don't know who the Liverpool FC Lancaster bomber is, but it says, come on, everyone, hit the like button for these two sausages. Or there's 3 of us, mate. You can't count. So yeah, maybe 3. To be fair play to him. Yeah, sorry, 3. Yeah, 3 sausages. We'll take that. So my missus.
Rather be a sausage than a crumble, mate.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, so Charles saying problem is Gabriel's leadership in a versus like 1-0 down scenario. The open play attack is not working. He doesn't have an impact yet. Focal leadership. Yeah. It's gonna be a sticky one. I think, like you said, James, it's gonna be like the Palace game again. Just got to be patient and then not let them in. Obviously, because that's how he's going to set them up, isn't he? He's going to set them up to counter attack. Thank you so much for everyone for watching. Really appreciate your time, Melvyn. It's been great having you on again. I'll get you back on again very, very, very soon. Obviously, also to yourself, James. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks to everyone watching. It's been a strange couple of weeks. Obviously, keeping an eye on things with the injuries and what have you. And we've only got one big one. Let's hope we might have a surprise or two when it comes to that team sheet landing on Sunday afternoon. I'm sure Arteta has been waiting for this for the last 2 weeks and stuff. And let's fingers crossed. And before we go, I thought I'd give the last word to this legend. So let's see what he's got to say.
Do you know Tottenham?
What?
Tottenham Hotspur?
Topspur?
No.
What's that?
you never heard of them?
No?
And that's your lot. So thanks, James. Thanks to Melvyn.
Thank you.
We'll see you after the derby. We'll see you on Monday night for a quick recap. So all I said is, come on, the Gunners. Let's do it.
Newcastle, the central figure again, and he looks to trick Michael.